Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test test test.
living with her. He's going, yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Post Advisory Committee meeting for June 2nd, 2026. We will call the meeting to order, and we are going to start first with our flag salute. So if you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please remain standing and join me in a moment of silence honoring the officer who died in the line of duty since the last meeting. Will be Deputy Randy Hoppert Jr. of the Tulare County Sheriff's Office. End of watch was April 9, 2026. Thank you. Please take your seats. Okay, Ms. Essex, would you please take a roll call?
Chair, good morning, advisory committee members. Biederman. Cordova,
Present.
Ehrman,
Present.
Gamboa,
Present.
Honey,
Present.
Paderewski,
Present.
Morrell,
Present.
Oborn, Pacheco, Rosa,
Present.
Salazar,
Present.
Stalker,
Present.
10 committee members present.
Okay, thank you. I would now like to introduce Assistant Executive Director Jim Grotkow and Post Executive Director Manny Alvarez. Thank you for being. Okay, we will move on to public comment. This is time set aside for members of the public to comment on items on the advisory committee agenda. Pursuant to commission policy, the advisory chair will manage the public comment period in deference to the committee's workload and meeting time constraints. Up to 15 minutes is allotted at the beginning of each meeting for public comments on items on the agenda. Members of the public who wish to speak are asked to limit their remarks to no more than 3 minutes each. If we have many people who wish to speak on the same topic, I, as a chair, may intervene. Will ask that you limit remarks to no more than 1 minute. Pursuant to existing commission policy, the chair may conclude the public comment period if multiple speakers are voicing repetitive or similar statements and the 15-minute public comment period has expired. Please be advised that the committee cannot take action on items not on the agenda. And please remember that this meeting is being transcribed, so I may politely interrupt and ask you to repeat or speak slowly and clearly so your comment can be correctly captured in the transcript. Is there anyone who would like to address the committee during public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the first action item, which would be approval of transcript and action summary. First item is approval of transcript action summary from March 2026, the advisory committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve the transcript and action summary from the March 3, 2026 meeting?
Motion, Rosa.
Motion from Rosa. Is there a second?
Gamboa, second.
Second from Gamboa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. And we will move on to announcements. I will now call upon Assistant Executive Director Jim Grotkow to provide the announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of the advisory committee and guests. So I have just a few announcements. So the first, I'd like to recognize Chief Cindy Ponce for her service on the advisory committee. Chief Ponce from CHP has moved on from her assignment that was involving with the committee. So we appreciate her involvement and her input that was very valuable in her time with us. We are waiting for CHP to nominate a replacement for her. So once we get that, that'll go before the commission and most likely be on board sometime early next year. So we also want to remind that tomorrow we will be having the Post Excellence in Training Awards ceremony at the beginning of the commission meeting. So for those that will be here still or that want to watch, we have a number of recipients that will be here. It's a significant event we do at the beginning of the meeting. And on that note, we appreciate the work and the dedication that came in from the advisory committee to make those selections and recommendations to the commission that were all accepted and have been formally notified and will be here tomorrow. The next thing on the announcements is just advising that effective July 1st through the end of December 31st, we will be opening up nomination periods for this year's awards. So if anybody has an interest in nominating somebody, if anybody has any questions regarding the process, you are welcome to reach out to me, or you can email trainingawards@post.ca.gov. And that email address is monitored by multiple Post employees in the executive office. And that is the announcements I have. Refer Executive Director, nothing? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to our presentations, and Assistant Executive Director Jim Grotkow will announce the agenda items to be presented.
Thank you, Chair. We received requests from advisory committee members to have presentations on the following agenda items: consent item 2F, 2H, 2J, 2P, and BTB item 3C.
Okay, so at this time, we will start with item 2F, a report on the test score research pertaining to the post-entry level law enforcement test battery pellet B. I call upon Johanna Medina from the Strategic Communications and Research Bureau, who will provide a report on this item.
Good morning. I'm Joanna Medina, and I'm a research data specialist with the Strategic Communications and Research Bureau. I work on entry-level testing, including the post-entry-level law enforcement test battery, also known as the Pellet B. The Pellet B is designed to measure basic reading and writing abilities for peace officer candidates. The test is not intended to predict performance in specific academia courses, such as report writing or general job performance as a peace officer. At the December 2025 advisory meeting, I was asked to provide additional analyses regarding score distribution changes following updates made to the test in January 2025. To complete this work, I analyzed test data from all Pellet B test administrations from January 2020 through December 2025. More detailed background information and analyses have been provided on the agenda item. Overall, the analyses revealed a downward trend of writing, reading, and total T-scores from 2020 through 2024. During this time, there were no changes to test content, scoring procedures, or administration practices. While the underlying cause of this decline is unknown, the absence of internal changes suggests it may be influenced by a number of external factors beyond the scope of POST. Beginning in 2025, score increases are observed. These increases are likely related to several updates made to the test, including revisions to selected test items, the removal of a subtest, and recalibration of scoring procedures. These changes were supported by research, aligned with acceptable testing standards, and were intended to improve the clarity and overall quality of the test. Although the test scores have increased, the statistical analyses indicate that the Pellet B continues to demonstrate solid psychometric performance and remains a stable and effective measure of reading and writing ability. Based on the findings, POST continues to advise agencies to reevaluate their cut scores if they observe changes in score distributions. While POST research has suggested a cut score of 42 or above, POST does not establish or enforce a standardized cut score. Ultimately, testing agencies have the discretion of determining a cut score or method that best fits the needs of their candidate pool and hiring practices. Looking ahead, the examination development and research team will continue to monitor the test to ensure score trends stabilize following the 2025 changes. Future research will focus on continuing to evaluate the test and conducting a deeper analysis of individual test items. These steps will be critical to maintaining fairness, consistency, and overall test quality. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you for that report. I'll turn it over to the committee now. If there are any questions, Ms. Morrell?
Tammy Morrell, California Academy Directors Association, and my last name is Murrell. I just have a question. Is POST considering, and this may not be for you, considering giving a new recommendation based on the upward trend of scores to replace the 42?
Right. Not at the moment. What we're going to do is continue to monitor while we we'll collect more test data. Before we make a statewide recommendation, we would like for it to be supported by research. And again, collecting more test data will help us to do that. As we move online, that would also kind of help us, collecting the data and be able to make more validated recommendations. So not at the moment, but we'll continue to monitor.
For me, and I think for the academies that are and agencies that are using this as an entry-level measuring stick, if you will, I think that a post recommendation, while not in regulation, is helpful because it makes what we decide to do more defensible. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add that agencies should, and they're encouraged to reevaluate the cut scores, and they have the discretion to make one that best fits their hiring needs. So that's going to stay the same. With the increased test scores, if agencies, again, they notice that, and they should make adjustments as needed.
Any additional questions? Okay, no additional questions. We'll have a comment from AED Grotkow.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to recognize Johanna on the work she's been doing on this project. We've had staff come and go with this project for a number of years. Johanna's been the constant the last couple of years and is currently the only person we have on staff that is directly dealing with this, the pellet bee. And so we're trying to get new staff on. We're trying to be kind of innovative in positions to help support what she and another research person will be doing when we get them on. But it's a challenge, and it's a challenge to hire these folks because it's a specialty niche, basically, that you can't put a former cop in there and expect them to be able to do what she does. And so just kind of recognize and appreciate what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good job. Okay, our next presentation will be item 2H. This is a report on SB 882, the Advisory Council on Improving Interactions Between People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities in Law Enforcement. I believe the Executive Director, Manny Alvarez, wanted to introduce this.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and advisory members. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. This is actually an agenda item that was requested by Commissioner Rick Brazil. He was appointed to the Advisory Council on Improving Interactions Between People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities and Law Enforcement. He's been on that for the last couple of years, and they came out with their report just a few months ago. It's attached to the agenda item, so he is going to speak to it tomorrow. As you will notice on that agenda item and the attachment, the actual report, there are a number of recommendations for post related to training for law enforcement personnel, both in the academy as well as for in-service training. They are recommendations at this point, so he will speak to that tomorrow. As part of that, we've asked him and the chair if we could play a video, which we wanted to play for you today, that we released just a few months ago. I think it was in between the March meeting and now when it was released. The video was released pursuant to the wandering guidelines that were released, I believe, in December of this year. So we produced a short video for patrol briefings and detective briefings. It's 5 minutes, and we asked if we could play it, and the chair also here said we could go ahead and play it. So if you haven't seen it, the video is on wandering. It specifically addresses an individual with Alzheimer's and as well as an individual who is autistic. If you would mind. Thank you.
I swear to you, it feels like this paperwork just never ends.
Yep, I usually write mine during my lunch.
Hey, bro, I'm just happy when I get lunch.
It would be nice to finish a meal once in a while.
That's true. All right, let's rock and roll.
Yeah, time to go.
Go on? Yes? Honey, she's doing it.
That's our Isabella. She's all grown up now.
We're going down this aisle, buddy. Good job. Good job.
Isabella? Let me take this out of your way, mi amor.
Okay, buddy. So the next thing on our list is going to be the... Oh, gosh. Shoot. It's okay. It's okay. Mom just needs to clean this up. Just keep holding the cart, Aiden, okay? It's going to be fine. Just... Aiden.
Honey? Elena?
Aiden. Aiden. Aiden.
Elena? Elena? Mi amor?
Come here, Aiden. Come on now.
Elena?
Aiden.
Elena. Elena.
Aiden.
Elena.
Aiden.
Elena.
Aiden.
Elena.
Aiden.
Elena.
Aiden.
Cariño.
Sheriff's Department, 911.
My wife. She's missing from our home.
When did you last see her?
Just a minute ago.
911, what's your emergency? My son is missing. Where are you? We've gone. I shouldn't have taken my eyes off of him.
Are you at North Peak Produce?
Yes. I'm out front. I don't see him anywhere.
What was she wearing?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Does she go on walks?
Not without me. She has Alzheimer's.
I'm sending officers now. I just need more information from you. Please hurry. He has autism.
Tupac 12, copy. Go ahead.
212 to North Peak Produce.
Expedite for male juvenile missing from the store.
Tupac 12, en route, copy.
May I also have your registration, please?
3 David 12 to breakaway for priority missing person at risk.
Listen, it's your lucky day. Just slow down from me, all right? 3 David 12, go ahead.
3 David 12 missing person at risk, 1805 Vista Norte Drive.
Tupac 12, I'm requesting additional backup as well as drone support. Could you notify the sheriff's office to activate search and rescue?
212 copy.
3 David 7.
3 David 7.
3 David 7, canvassing the neighborhood, starting at last known locations.
3 David 7 copy, trailing K9 en route.
Hey, did Aiden happen to show up at your house?
Thank you, Mika. Was she even wearing her sweater?
You need to call me, like right away.
And thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions or comments related to this item from the committee? We'll say it's very well produced. It's a very good video. I appreciate it. And it's definitely a challenging topic. So thank you for both staff on work on that. Anything else on that item, Director Alvarez?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I will go on to item 2J, a report on artificial intelligence guidelines update. At this time, call upon law enforcement consultant Mark Nagel from the Management Consulting, Counseling and Projects Bureau, who will provide a report on this item.
Right. Good morning, Chief Salazar, Advisory Committee. I want to provide a brief overview of the Post-Artificial Intelligence Guideline and the workshop process supporting its development. The need for this guideline is clear, and it is immediate. Artificial intelligence is no longer a theoretical issue for law enforcement. It is already entering agency operations through report writing, transcription, dispatch, investigative support, records management, analytics, digital evidence review, vendor platforms, and administrative workflows. These tools may offer operational benefits, but they also create new risks if agencies use them without clear boundaries, verification requirements, disclosure practices, training expectations, and supervisory oversight. The purpose of this guideline is not to promote artificial intelligence. It is not to prohibit appropriate uses of emerging technology. The purpose is to provide California law enforcement with practical, statewide framework for using AI in a manner that is lawful, transparent, accountable, and operationally defensible. California now has a statutory baseline for AI-assisted law enforcement report writing. SB 524 requires law enforcement agencies to maintain policies when artificial intelligence is used to generate official reports, including requirements related to disclosure, retention of the first AI-generated draft, and audit trail documentation. The statute creates a legal floor. The POST guideline builds from that floor and provides broader professional guidance for agencies that are already facing AI-related decisions in report writing, investigations, records, training, procurement, supervision, and internal governance. Agencies throughout California will be confronted with the same core issue: when AI may be used, when it should not be used, how AI-assisted work must be verified, what must be disclosed, how records should be retained, what training personnel need, and how supervisors and executives should oversee these systems. Without statewide guidance, agencies may develop inconsistent practices, which can create operational confusion, legal exposure, discovery disputes, credibility concerns, and inconsistent safeguards across jurisdictions. The foundation of the guideline is straightforward. AI may assist law enforcement personnel, but it cannot replace human judgment, legal responsibility, or professional accountability. The guideline reinforces that officer, investigator, analyst, records employee, supervisor, or the agency remain responsible for the accuracy and appropriateness of the final work product. AI-generated or AI-assisted content should not be treated as automatically reliable. It must be reviewed, verified, and corrected by trained personnel before it's relied upon, submitted, disclosed, or used to support official action. The threat environment is also broader than report writing. AI can generate inaccurate information, omit material facts, mischaracterize source material, introduce bias, or create a false appearance of certainty. In a law enforcement context, those risks are not abstract. They can affect probable cause, investigative decisions, case filings, discovery obligations, public records, administrative decisions, officer credibility, and public trust. The guideline addresses those risks by emphasizing verification, transparency, documentation, and oversight. The universal answer running through the guideline is this: human review, verification, disclosure, training, and oversight. POST held the first subject matter expert workshop on April 15th. That session brought together a broad cross-section of stakeholders, including law enforcement leaders, prosecutors, defense representatives, legal scholars, technology and cybersecurity professionals, analysts, and trainers. The purpose was to pressure test the draft for legal alignment, operational practicality, and professional defensibility. During that first workshop, the group worked through the draft, refined key sections, clarified the distinction between legal requirements and recommended practices, and strengthened the framework around verification, investigations, disclosure, training, records, procurement, vendor accountability, and oversight. Now, next slide. The second and final workshop is scheduled for June 10th. That session will focus on final refinements and preparing the guideline for internal POST review and future commission consideration. In short, the guideline is intended to help California law enforcement agencies move carefully, lawfully, and consistently as AI tools become more common. It gives agencies a defensible framework before inconsistent local practices become entrenched. It recognizes the potential value of AI, but it keeps responsibility where it belongs, with trained personnel, supervisors, agency leadership, and legally accountable public institutions. With that, I'll turn it back.
All right, thank you for that presentation. I'll turn it over to the committee for any questions or comments.
I have one. Brent Stalker. Just curious on, did they talk about in the workshops, if you know, about how to properly train departments statewide on AI, specifically like smaller agencies? And will there be any assistance for smaller agencies on training for AI?
There is a training component in the guideline. There's a chapter dedicated to training all by itself. So with best recommendations and best practices.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll follow up with that same question because I was thinking in the same lines. Anthony Cordova with the California Community College Chancellor's Office. I heard a small clip of some of the professional development and the training component of it. I think we do need to elevate that to the forefront and focus on how we could improve upon the skills that the individuals have and the utilization of it, as well as your guidelines and regulatory requirements.
Additional questions or comments from the committee on this? Ms.
I
Moran.
had one quick question. Rebecca Biederman, BIEDERMANN. I heard you mention briefly dispatch and records in those guidelines. I know the primary use of AI is with report writing currently, but there are a lot of vendors out there that are bringing to us in the professional departments AI platforms and things like that. Is any of that covered in the guidelines for dispatch records and the professional staff?
Yeah, this technology is evolving so quickly. So dispatch has already in place AI who will answer the phone and decide what to do next. We know investigations and internal affairs are now receiving AI dedicated systems to address and handle all of that evidence that they go through to help them with their cases. The guideline is meant to be a governance for all AI systems, not specific ones, and keeping in mind that at the heart of this, there is always human oversight, verification of sources, tracing the work, and verifying the sources. So that would apply to every type of AI system.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tammy Morrell, CADA. Just as a matter of information, we had a robust discussion at the last Director and Coordinator Consortium in March regarding AI as it relates to instructing report writing at the academy level. And so to add to Mr. Cordova's comment, the education, we are going to need some guidelines regarding the educational aspect and what's going to be allowed and what's not. And I know we have a subject matter expert committee coming up on specifically to report writing, but at the academy level, at the basic training level, I think that there are a lot of places that AI might find its way into curriculum development, student performance, and we are going to need be taking a hard look at that as well.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions, comments for our presentation? Thank you for tackling this. It's a big issue. A lot of valuable resources here, but it's a big issue to keep wrapped up in the governance, as you mentioned. I think is going to be very important. So thank you for these guides and I appreciate the work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item we're going to call is report, item 2G, excuse me, report on the reestablishment of the Public Safety Dispatch Advisory Council. And the presenters are going to be Hamila Fields and Michelle Dobner.
Good morning. I'm Jamila Fields with the Management Counseling and Projects Bureau. I am a Supervisor 1, but project manager for the in-service dispatch courses here at POST.
And good morning, my name is Michelle Dobner. I'm a Supervisor 1 with the Basic Training Bureau, and I'm the project manager for the Public Safety Dispatchers Basic Course. And we work together on the Advisory Council.
I'm here today to provide an update on the current status of the reestablished Public Safety Dispatch Advisory Council. As California's public safety needs continue to grow in complexity, the role of our telecommunications professionals and the standards that support them remains essential. In 2025, the Post Dispatch team learned of a previously established post-facilitated council and recognized the value of reinstating a forum where dispatch professionals could share their perspectives and maintain meaningful two-way communication with Post. In response, Post reconvened a newly structured Public Safety Dispatch Advisory Council designed to be highly collaborative and to draw expert insight from dispatch professionals across the state. The Public Safety Dispatch Advisory Council now functions as a 23-member advisory body that brings together public safety dispatch stakeholders statewide. Memberships includes 13 regional delegates representing post-training regions, including 2 at-large seats for Northern California and Bay Area, and Central and Southern California. 3 department representatives from the California Highway Patrol, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and the Los Angeles Police Department. There are additional members from professional associations and organizations who contribute operational expertise to statewide discussions. Meeting quarterly, the council provides a direct avenue for regional insights, emerging issues, and best practices. While the Public Safety Dispatch Advisory Council serves in an advisory capacity only, its feedback is vital in helping Post remain aligned with the evolving needs of the dispatch community. And some of our current areas of focus are the statewide dispatch priorities that identify the most critical needs of dispatchers at the state level. Modernized training initiatives, ensuring training and standards reflect contemporary operational demands, and wellness and support, promoting the resources that strengthen the mental, emotional, and professional well-being of dispatch workforce. By serving as a bridge between frontline dispatchers and the commission, the Public Safety Dispatch Advisory Council helps ensure that California's dispatcher training standards and statewide initiatives continue to evolve in meaningful and informed ways. Thank you for your continued commitment to public safety and for supporting the work that ensures California's communications professionals have a strong and unified voice at the table. Questions?
Thank you for that update and report. Are there any questions or comments related to this item? All right, thank you for that information. Okay, our next presentation is going to be on item 2P, a report on the 2028 LA Olympics. At this time, I call upon Assistant Executive Director Tom Osborne from the Field Services Division and Supervisor 1, Megan Paulus, Public Affairs Unit, both in the Executive Office, who will provide a report on this item.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Salazar and Advisory Committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit on what we've been doing in support of the LA 28 Games. Hard to believe, in almost 2 years, it's going to be in Los Angeles. So before I turn over to Megan to kind of give an update on AB 2411, just want the committee to know we've continued to collaborate with our law enforcement partners, Cal OES, as well as the Olympic Executive Committee, to make sure we're tracking the needs that they may have from a training perspective. So that is ongoing. In addition, soon, I believe this month, if not maybe just released most recently, the United States Secret Service is going to be publishing, not outright, the number of law enforcement personnel they're going to need to support the entire LA game. So that number is going to certainly drive the resource needs to support those games. So we're all anxiously awaiting, that prediction. What Post has been doing currently, other than collaborating with our partners, is anticipation for some form of AB 2411 passing, and Post's specific role limited to that, which would be the training of law enforcement officers, perhaps maybe coming in from outside the state, as well as maybe the certification of officers coming in for the limited support for the game. So with that, we're planning on 2 workshops. We're going to have one in the fall, maybe in October, maybe November, and then in early winter next year, to help develop what that training could look like and help in support of the game. So we're starting that process should 2411 be passed. If it doesn't pass, at least we're positioned well to support that and whatever that legislative language would be. Also, just to point out, POST has a very limited role. We're not going to be dispatching outside the state of California law enforcement. That's going to be part of the mutual aid process. POST will have zero involvement relative to those requests for those resources. But should 2411 get passed into law that could authorize that, we'll be ready to support that need. So with that, I'll turn over to Megan for any updates on 2411 specifically.
Good morning. So AB 2411, as we speak, just last week passed over into the Senate. So it's moving along the process as any bill would. And I just caution to everybody that it's still a work in progress. So what you see might not be what we get at the end. So I always say stay tuned.
Yeah, so pending any questions, that's kind of where we are. We'll continue to provide updates as we move through this. I know everybody's watching 2411 specifically, but there's a lot of work happening on the back end. We certainly would anticipate if any specific training needs are required per the legislation, most likely we'd be hosted on our learning portal, so it's easily accessible, and we'll streamline that process when we get to that point.
Okay, any questions or comments for our presenters on this item? Mine's kind of for Megan. How does 2411, or does it address our interaction, California law enforcement interaction with federal partners during this process, or is it specifically to out-of-state peace officers?
It doesn't address federal partners at this time.
All right, any other questions, comments from the committee?
Well, Alicia Rosa, I do think that there's an additional bill that will, that is, I'm trying to think of what the bill number is, but it prevents local law enforcement from collaborating, sharing information, et cetera, with federal agents. I think it's 1105, I believe. I can look it up, but so that would obviously, in addition to 2411, which I know PORAC is adamantly opposed to, that would also present some difficulties when it comes to the Olympic Games. So I'm hoping they will clean up some of that language. Bill passes through.
There's about 6 bills that would prohibit many federal agents from doing any sort of peace officer work in California right now. So I think it's just a matter of what we end up with at the end of session.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you for that presentation. We will now move on to item 3C. This is going to be a report on proposed changes to Commission Regs 1015 and 1018, Commission Procedure D 1 through 5, and adopt training specs for the Public Safety Dispatchers Basic Course modular format. This time I call upon Supervisor 1, Michelle Dobner, from the Basic Training Bureau, who will provide a report on this item.
Morning again. Once again, I'm Michelle Dobner with the Basic Training Bureau. I am presenting a proposal to establish a standardized modular format for the Public Safety Dispatchers Basic Course and update Commission Regulations 1015 and 1018, Commission Procedure D15, and the course training specifications. Although some presenters have offered the Public Safety Dispatchers Basic Course in modules, there has not been an established standardized modular structure. As a result, presenters have developed different module configurations, naming conventions, and methods for organizing course content. This inconsistency can create confusion for participating agencies and students, as well as increase the potential for gaps in required course content and minimum required hours. To address these concerns, Basic Training Bureau staff convened a subject matter expert workshop in January 2026. Representatives from 7 Public Safety Dispatchers Basic Course presenters reviewed the existing curriculum, evaluated modular delivery options, and developed a proposed standardized modular format. The proposed optional modular delivery format consists of 2 standardized 80-hour modules. This proposal does not change the current curriculum. All existing learning objectives, learning activities, and total course hours remain unchanged. It only establishes the framework for how the course may be delivered in a modular format. The proposal also updates the course training specifications to clearly identify how the content is divided between the modules and creates separate minimum content and hourly requirement documents for the standard format, Module 2, and Module 1. Additionally, the proposed updates to Commission Regulations 1015 and 1018 and Commission Procedure D15 establish reimbursement provisions, clarify modular delivery requirements, and align the public safety dispatcher's basic course document structure with the format used for post-peace officer basic courses. Consistent with Commission direction provided during the March 2026 Commission meeting, Post Bulletin 2026-12 was released on April 3rd, 2026 to solicit public comment on the proposed changes. The public comment period remained open through May 18th of 2026, and no public comments were received. We are requesting an effective date of April 1st, 2027 to allow sufficient time for the rulemaking process and to ensure existing modular format presenters have adequate time to transition to the standardized modular format. This proposal establishes a consistent framework for modular delivery of the Public Safety Dispatcher's basic course while maintaining the existing curriculum. It provides greater flexibility for presenters, agencies, and students while ensuring consistency in how the modules are delivered. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you for that report. Any questions or comments on this item? Ms. Morrell.
I just wanted to thank Michelle and the staff at Post for all their work on this. My program is a extended format presenter of the dispatcher's course. And so we offer 16 10-hour sessions. And we do that on Wednesdays so that our local agencies can send multiple dispatch trainees to the training at once. We get a lot of independent students. We get a nice mix of sponsored students and independent students because we're a college. And our mission as a college is to help people improve their lives by getting better jobs. So this past class, we had one student who was an independent student, very good dispatch candidate, in my opinion. And she made it halfway through. She made it through 8 10-hour sessions, never missed a minute, and then was hospitalized. Had this been a modular program, she could have gotten her health, come back, and finished. So the modular format is very successful for people who are police officer trainees, and I think it's going to be very successful for dispatchers as well. So thank you for all your work on it, because I know that moving from 120 to 160 hours and adding the modules has been a tremendous amount of work for you.
Thank you. Any additional questions, comments?
Yes, Brent Stalker. I had a question on is there between modules, let's just say an academy runs, the 2 modules, is there a time frame? Because I would think most academies will run the modules back to back. Is there any specifics on, like, if they run one module and then run the second one 2 months later? Is there any talk about how that's going to work?
Yeah, there was a discussion held in the subject matter expert workshop. Currently in regulation, public safety dispatchers are required to complete this course within 12 months of being appointed to a position. So unlike peace officers, they can be hired, begin working, and then they have to take the course within that first 12 months. The subject matter experts felt like placing a time constriction between the 2 modules where no more than X amount of time could pass between taking them would place a kind of conflicting requirement when a requirement for the 12 months already exists. So there will be flexibility for presenters to offer them back to back or to have time in between them. The compliance issue will be for the employee themselves to complete both modules within 12 months of appointment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony Cordova. That triggered a question for me. Is there requirements for refresher training?
So for example, if someone had completed the dispatcher's basic course and then have training later on. So public safety dispatchers and supervisors do have continuing professional training like their peace officer partners for 24 hours every 2 years. As far as a refresher course, that doesn't exist for dispatchers currently. So if I were to take the public safety dispatcher's basic course and then years later get hired by a hiring agency, currently, according to regulation, I've met the requirement to complete that course. It would be up to the hiring agency whether or not they would require somebody to attend the training again if so much time has passed.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I just also want to say I'm very supportive of this. I think it's a very good move, and it was certainly dispatches were always challenged with staffing and getting people through training and getting them introduced to the profession. So I think this will be very helpful, and we appreciate the work that you and Post have put into making this happen. So thank you for the good work. Okay, that concludes item 3C. We're coming up on just about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. So we'll take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 1100 hours. Can have the advisory committee members come back to the table. We'll get the meeting going again. Oh. Oh, you want to?
I don't know. That's we got here lunch. I'll be here.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting back to order. And the next portion of our agenda here is advisory committee member report. So this is the time for advisory committee members to report on any items from their respective organizations. And I'll start here to my left today with Vice Chair Stalker.
Hey, Brent Stalker from CPTMA. And first thing I just wanted to recognize is we are losing our Central Valley Secretary, Mike Wallace, to good reason. He got promoted to sergeant, so he's leaving from the training unit. But I just wanted to publicly thank Mike for just, I mean, he did just an outstanding job keeping our central chapter in line and all that. So again, just shout out to Mike on that. Our North chapter, we are trying to definitely grow that. We got a new vice president up there, Andrew Weber, and he's coming out of Stanislaus, and he is going to be our new vice president for the North chapter. And so we are definitely interested in growing our chapters. Right now, we're doing a lot of training where we are holding meetings to basically do as much training as possible at our meetings. We've done a lot, just, like drone training where we bring in, the agencies to come in and we'll do presentations. So we're constantly looking for new presentations on that. And again, we have a very good executive officer, Fred Johnson, who's really keeping up on all this, and we're lucky to have him. So our CPTMA is going really well, and we're again putting on some great trainings, and we're looking again not only keeping our central chapter going, but growing our North chapter. So thank you.
Thank you. It's Rosa from PORAC.
Good morning. PORAC continues to be incredibly involved in legislation that is affecting law enforcement. Some of the top priorities are 1383, which is the PEPA reform bill, which is one of our top priorities. And obviously, we just spoke about it today, 2411, which, especially on my other role as a labor union president, is something that we are also adamantly opposed to, as I think we can all understand how essentially bringing in officers from outside of California brings a lot of labor-related issues. On another front, as a trustee on the PORAC Legal Defense Fund, we had a very robust conversation about how these officers would be represented if they come from other states and may not have PORAC LDF, which a lot of people don't know that PORAC LDF does reach nationwide. However, there's no guarantee these officers will come to us with any kind of legal defense. So that is something that we had a robust conversation about. Obviously, the bill is obvious. It's not fully understood and not passed, but these are some of the things that we have given careful consideration to, because if these officers do come from out of state, we want to make sure that if they get into some kind of a use of force or officer involved shooting, that they are adequately represented in this state. So those are a couple things on the front that we are very aware of and fighting. I think that in the future we'll continue to be a lot more vocal as we see some of the amendments to these bills. But I know on the PORAC front and also on the labor front, these are some of the biggest issues that we're dealing with right now. Specifically in San Bernardino County, we are actually doing it fairly well with our recruiting and retention, especially not just with the sheriff's department, with outside agencies, our police departments that are surrounding us. And I think part of the reason is because of the cost of living in the Inland Empire is actually feasible. So we are getting officers from other areas. So I apologize if that affects anyone here. But we have a very supportive sheriff who's running for reelection this year. And so things are looking very positive in that aspect. So other than that, that's it for me.
Thank you. Mr. Morrell.
Tammy Morrell from CADA. Let me start by saying I need to apologize for offering these comments at this time. I missed the opportunity to have commission agenda item 3A up for discussion today. And so I'm addressing some concerns that CADA has in the comments section, and we probably should have had a full discussion on this. So that's on me, and I apologize for it. I want to address, though, commission item 3A, and this has to do with ratios and specifically recruit training officer requirements and specific ratios of recruit training officers. So the proposed regulation as written, I think, has some unintended consequences. And so I'll begin with an example from this past weekend at my own program. I had a class of 52 students. It was split into two groups of 26. So under the proposed ratio, each training site, because we had range and training at the college, would require a director or coordinator, 2 RTOs, a lead instructor, and then all the safety policy required 1070 instructors and safety officers. So this would, for my class of 26 people, account for 10 staff members out of the range. And it seems excessive to me. College-based academies simply cannot sustain staffing levels that balloon to 8, 9, and 10 personnel for 26 students during a training block. And that's only for half the class, so I had to figure out what to do with the other half of the class as well. The financial and administrative impact is limits the pool of, it doesn't address limiting, let me restate that. It doesn't address the limited pools of RTO candidates that a lot of colleges have. We don't have people assigned to us typically as RTOs. So most of our RTOs are adjunct faculty members, part-time faculty members, which brings with it a lot of ed code related issues and limits the amount of time that they can work. So this is going to increase staff requirements. It's going to reduce class sizes probably, maybe cancel some modules, probably raise tuition because we have to pass these increased costs along to our students, or it might limit access to training altogether. One size fits all doesn't reflect campus layouts, training sites, staffing models, class size, use of adjuncts, and local agency partnerships. And so a single statewide ratio of 25-1 is problematic. And so we would hope that the commission, and we respectfully request that the commission not advance the mandatory 1-25 ratio as written, and instead direct post staff to work with presenters to develop a flexible policy-based model, and perhaps pilot it with a diverse number of academies, and return with a revised proposal that reflects operational realities and statewide input. CADA is committed to partnering with Post. And I think we've demonstrated that, and we simply ask that the regulatory change be practical and sustainable. A collaborative case-by-case approach would produce the best outcome for students, academies, and the agencies we serve. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if we could ask law enforcement consultant Mario Moreno to come up to address the concerns of CADA.
Good morning, everyone. Sir, did you want me to just go through the entire list, or would you like me to just to respond to the question that Tammy had mentioned?
I think if you want to go through the agenda item, that's perfectly fine. We have the time.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Moreno.
Thanks, Mario.
So I'm going to get started by introducing myself. My name is Mario Moreno. I'm a law enforcement consultant. My experience has been with the Sheriff's Office of Stanislaus County. I served there for 27 years. And during my time there, I also served as academy coordinator, and I was responsible for the supervision of recruit training officers during that time. And also, I actually have been an adjunct faculty instructor, and so I kind of know the layout of how academies operate within the state and also at agency academies as well. Here at Post, I'm part of the certification review team. We go out and conduct basic course certification reviews, which is a pretty extensive, in-depth review of all courses that are presented throughout the state, those that have academies. And we kind of lift their tent and look at their programs to ensure that they're adhering to the rules, regulations, safety policies, and best practices throughout the state. So we kind of get a bird's eye view of how different presenters do things. And we also get to see those that can model the best practices, and we see those that maybe need a little help. And so we provide that information to them. So under that idea, that information that I just provided is what brought this about. And this is why that I confidently believe this is a good reason to make these changes. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading from my script that I put together for you guys. So I'm here to talk about the important changes related to the recruit training officer position that are needed to strengthen the supervision of students attending the regular basic course in both standard and the modular format academy. I am confident these proposed changes will create a more consistent, effective, and professional training environment for students. And it also aligns with the primary mission statement of POST on the basic training side to prepare students mentally, morally, physically to. Sure.
Trying to get every word you're saying.
All right. They say when people get nervous, they start talking faster. So I will slow down. My apologies. Where did you need me to start from? So again, the mission of the basic training is to prepare students mentally, morally, and physically to advance into the field training program so that they could assume the responsibilities of a peace officer in society. So the issues that we identified are three, and I labeled them in each respective category here. The first is inconsistent in the training structure, inconsistency in the training structure, specifically to the module 3 and 2 basic courses. So RTOs are currently required to be assigned in the module 1 course. However, regulation does not require them to be assigned to the module 3 or 2 basic course programs. As a result, many students arrive to a module 1, and just so the people here know, students do not have to attend all 3 modules at one presenter. They can attend the 3-2 and move to a module 1 to finish their training to become a peace officer. So with that being said, this is going to be designed to try to fill that gap. So modular 1 presenters that receive these students that attended the 3-2 often find that these students come unprepared and they're not fully understanding of the supervision that's required of an RTO. And so when they arrive, they're at a disadvantage. The second issue that I'm raising, in the one that Ms. Murillo here had pointed out, is the RTO student ratio. Again, during our basic course reviews, we've had numerous interviews with staff who some admit that they would like to have more recruit training officers. However, the common theme is that POST doesn't require it, so we're not doing it. And we've seen also during those reviews that some presenters have had sometimes up to 80 students to one recruit training officer. So we understand that the role of an RTO is very demanding. Their job is to monitor instruction, serve as a day-to-day first-line supervisor, mentor, motivate, evaluate, and advise recruits during their training program. Without a regulated ratio, many academies have far too many students per RTO. While the 1 RTO to 25 students has long been recommended, it currently is not regulated. That's issue number 2. Lastly, the third issue that we are trying to solve today is qualifications for the RTO is being too broad. The existing language only requires, quote, sworn full-time law enforcement experience. This allows officers without general law enforcement or patrol experience, such as some correctional officers or specialized agents, to serve as RTOs. These individuals often lack a practical patrol knowledge needed to effectively mentor recruits on critical topics such as vehicle pullovers, domestic violence calls, responding to various calls for service, and patrol procedures. So the 3 solutions, the proposed solutions that I offer today To fix these issues is one, requiring a dedicated recruit training officer for both the Module 3 and Module 2 presentations, similar to what we have in Module 1. Secondly, for the second issue, is to establish a mandatory ratio for the RTO for 1 RTO to 25 students across all basic course modules. And again, this ratio is applicable to the maximum student enrollment for each academy presenter. And number 3, raise the qualifications for RTOs by requiring the completion of a post-certified field training program and also to obtain a basic training certificate or a basic certificate. And by doing these things, it would ensure that RTOs have the relevant knowledge, training, and experience, which will add to their credibility while they supervise students attending the course. So the reason why we believe these changes make sense is requiring RTOs in both the Module 3 and 2 gives students clear, early, consistent exposure to the supervision style they will face throughout their training program. This removes a difficult adjustment period for students attending Module 1 and will help students perform better overall during their learning experience. For the ratio of 1 to 25, we believe it's reasonable and is already widely recognized. It allows RTOs enough time to provide the day-to-day first-line supervision, perform their operational risk management, enforce student safety, monitor instruction, ensure compliance with legislative mandates, commission regulations and procedures, and most importantly, mentor, evaluate, and support students effectively without being stretched too thin. And then lastly, stronger qualifications for the RTO position will ensure that RTOs are experienced patrol officers who can credibly mentor, coach, and model a real-world police officer and the skills associated to that assignment for students who are attending the basic course. So the benefits of this, I believe, are proposed to better prepare the students in the academy and add consistency to all the programs that are presenting these courses, which will ultimately lead to better prepared students as they go to their respective agencies to the field training program. So in conclusion, I will say that I believe these are pretty straightforward changes that address clear gaps that have been identified by not only presenters who are delivering the training in the Module 1 courses, but also by the Basic Training Bureau Certification Review Team, as I mentioned earlier, who during reviews of these academies have seen a lack in supervision of recruits in some instances. So we believe the changes are practical, needed, and will significantly improve the quality of the regular basic courses in California. Are there any questions to that?
I'm sure there are. Yeah. Ms. Morrell.
Thank you. CADA agrees with almost everything Mario said. We are not opposed to RTOs in 3-2 only academies or even Module 3 only academies, especially since in all likelihood tomorrow or in the next few months, we're going to require lifetime fitness. And our belief is that when you have lifetime fitness, you need to have an RTO there for safety reasons. What we do have a problem with is the 1 to 25 ratio as it is written in the agenda item. So it says each academy and modular format presenter shall designate a minimum of 1 recruit training officer for every 25 students whose qualifications based on knowledge, experience, and training shall include a demonstrated ability to supervise trainees, peace officer trainees attending a regular basic course. What this does not take into consideration, the way that I read this, is the need for split training with a lot of the academies. And so in my case, for example, my example that I used, I have 2 classes of 26 on Saturdays and Sundays because that's the days we can get the range. That's the days we can get the EVOC center and gyms and things that we need for these 1070 type classes that are specialized. So what this does is it adds 2 staff members per weekend for me because I need 2, because I have my class split in 2. I have 26 students at 2 sites. So now I need 2 RTOs at each site instead of 1 RTO at each site, if we read this literally. And we know from past experience that if it goes into regulation, it will be interpreted literally. And so I think the thing that perhaps we need more discussion on is what training looks like for split classes. I know some academies, Santa Rosa, for example, sometimes splits into 3 sections. So if they had 3 sections of 26, that's 3 extra staff members. It's really cost prohibitive and colleges are struggling. We don't typically have RTOs assigned to us like agencies do. And so we rely on faculty members. And again, the ed code puts a lot of restrictions on how much time people can work. And so there's this requirement called the 67, we call it the 67% rule, and it limits the number of hours an adjunct can work during a semester. And so adding adjuncts is going to be very problematic for your college presenters.
Brent Stocker. I'm going to put on 2 hats here. First, CPTMA. I just want to say that as far as CPTMA, we 100% agree with what Tammy Morrell's saying. It's definitely, I just see some issues with it as far as, you know, case by case basis. But I do have a couple questions on this. Have we thought or have we done any type of subject matter expert committee on these changes?
No, we have not.
Okay. Because I do think that it definitely varies. And with that, I just want to talk about Fresno County sheriffs for a bit because, you know, I ran our training unit for 2 years there. And my only concern is with the Module 3. And when I say that, we have our 108 program at Fresno State, which we usually get about 100 students interested in showing up, you know, trying to get into Module 3, which if we do that, that means we're day one going to have 4 RTOs present if we have 100 students showing up. So one of my just first thoughts on that is, you know, having maybe for Module 3, having some little bit of leeway on that, you know, maybe a month or so as we get into Module 3 to, you know, just kind of get the students adjusted and figure out where we're at as far as numbers. And again, I'm just throwing this thought out there because it's just, it's problematic. And again, just like what Tammy Morrell was saying, it takes a lot of staff, and in Fresno County, it's all the training units. So that means that our entire training unit, you know, enforcement side would be showing up for Module 3 along with everything else that they're having to do in our training unit. So I'm a little concerned about that. So my suggestion again would be to look a little bit at Module 3 requirements on that. And then we also in Fresno County run a Module 1, and we have successfully done it with 1 RTO. Granted, our numbers aren't really high, but if we look at, you know, having 26 students versus 25, then we're now going to have to bring on another deputy sheriff for RTO for our Module 1. So that's just some of the concerns that I look at. And so in aspect, I think it's a great idea. I just think there just needs to be a little bit more wiggle room on it.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Sure, Honey.
Yeah, Corey Honey, California State Sheriff's Association. And Brent, you may have answered one of the questions I have, which is, do you know how many agency-run academies offer a module approach?
Not off the top of my head, but we can get that information.
Do you know, Brent?
No, it's, I know Fresno County is very unique on that as far as our Module 1, but I don't think there's too many out there. And, you know, I know Dom Gamboa can also speak on this. I mean, there's a lot of talk right now on trying to increase module programs throughout the state for reserves. And we're struggling right now just to increase that for, you know, our reserve population throughout California. So there's not a whole lot out there, I guess, is to circle back around to what you're asking.
So it sounds like the module academy approach is more centered in the community college realm than it is the agency realm. With regard to the 1 to 25 ratio, do you know, or has there been any discussion with law enforcement agencies who operate academies as to what that would do in terms of impact on staff? And you touched a little bit upon it in terms of having to have more deputy sheriffs, but have you done any research into how that would impact the law enforcement agencies who run academies?
We have not.
Okay.
The only information we have are the issues that come up during the basic course certification reviews, where there have been some instances where, because of lack of supervision, some training had been missed.
Yeah.
Some injuries have occurred. And so there's the working knowledge of it, but we haven't done a study of it. We've only done the research through our investigation or inspection of the individual course to find it.
Fair enough. So I do think that before you proceed, it would be good to get an understanding of the impact that would have on the agency-run academies, as well as the community college-run academies. But in particular, with the agency-run academies, if you have a scenario where you have to take deputies off the street or officers off the street or out of other divisions to make up the academy, it's this kind of it's this problematic self-fulfilling prophecy of, I'm trying to hire more people and get them through the academy so I have more staffing, and you're taking away more staffing for me to do that. If they can't do that, then the problem becomes it compounds the problem. I wholeheartedly agree with you in terms of the level of supervision, and you know, I think somebody cited a 1 to 80 ratio is ridiculous. We probably can't adequately supervise that. So there does need to be do that, but perhaps there can be some kind of leeway built into the system that allows you to accommodate some of those things. The last thing is, and I haven't read it, but based on what Tammy said with regard to the training requirements, wholeheartedly agree with you that the RTOs should have a regular basic certificate and have completed an FTO program. I've seen where they hire people like federal probation officers who have never worked the streets, and that is problematic. Rather than it being defined as it was read there, if it's not specifically defined, I think you should specifically state possession of a regular basic certificate and completion of an FTO. I think the two are probably synonymous, so that there's no confusion whatsoever about that whole thing. So thank you. That's all I have.
Do I have a moment to respond to some of these questions that were asked, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
So there was a lot that was mentioned by 3 different people here. So kind of want to go down the list real quick. So just to be clear, and I understand that sometimes when this is the first time that I'm presenting to you, and I don't understand the knowledge base of the advisory board as it relates to how the programs run and some of the issues that come up. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to share that information with you. And so again, this did not come just by chance. This came as a result of several issues that we have noted during our basic course certification reviews. Again, the lack of supervision over students is very difficult to manage the risk of an academy that's moving forward, especially when we are dealing with firearms, vehicles, driving fast, doing all these manipulative or specialized topics, as Tammy Murrell had mentioned. And so to address the issue that Tammy brought up regarding the ratio and extending out to when the classes need to be split, and I understand that it sounds like the ratio is applicable to the post guidelines for student safety, where we actually have ratios embedded for safety of students while they're participating in firearms, arrest control scenarios, driving, etc. Those ratios have been established, and those ratios are designed to ensure the safety of the student while they're participating in that type of training. And those have been established and they're locked in, and agencies do their best to fulfill those. The RTO, similar to director coordinator RTO, that's a leadership component of an academy. That is the leadership component to ensure that the academy is, one, managed by the director. The coordinator is the immediate supervisor of all RTOs of the daily operations of the academy. He's dealing with all the things that are going on here and there. And your RTOs who are on the ground, boots on the ground, monitoring and watching, ensuring the instructor cadre are teaching all the elements in the training and testing specifications to ensure students are being trained. They're also there to manage risk. And they also are there to mentor, coach, and supervise, and also evaluate, so that the stakeholders, the agencies who are sending their students to be trained, they're getting a good return on their investment because they want a well-trained person to come and work for them. So the evaluation component is very important. And I don't understand how a presenter can have anything less than 1 to 25. In fact, if I may speak freely, majority of the time on these basic course reviews, presenters are asking us to make a recommendation that they increase their recruit training officers. I have one presenter who's requesting to increase it to where he has a 1 to 12 ratio. So there are people out there currently, 8 presenters out there currently who are trying to narrow that margin because they are trying to evaluate on a daily basis by meeting with each individual student, documenting, and then doing an initial, midterm, and final evaluation so that when the agency brings onboards their recruit, their student, their training officer, they now know the performance of that student, and it's very detailed. You cannot do that if you do not have enough RTO staff. They would be spread too thin. And to Tamarill's point, if you have a split class, for example, the common theme is range and EVOC are split. You have some that go to range, some that go to EVOC. You have one RTO that needs to go to each site anyway, regardless if it's 5 students or 10 students or 25 students. You're going to need 2 anyway. But the ratio does not apply to the safety of it. It's the supervision of it, similar to what a director coordinator feels. So it does not apply to the safety guidelines. And to the point that you made, sir, regarding Fresno, unfortunately, I was on the basic course review during that time. And remember, here's what happens when people it turns out that the facilities couldn't accommodate that number of students. So it was bigger and beyond just the RTO. Now they're down to 40 per presentation. They narrowed that margin for facilities, but at the same time, one of the issues that we did have was, and it was noted in the report, that they did not have enough RTOs for the number of students they had. And so the proposal is that we just recognize that supervision, it'd be no different from a supervisor on patrol operations out in the field to say you are in charge of 25 people and that's it, be at all places at the same time. Cannot do that. And again, the idea behind it is the safety of the student, safety of staff, and overall supervision of the student.
Respectfully, I disagree with the analogy of a patrol sergeant. Patrol sergeant doesn't need to be on each call with their officers. The way this is written in using Mr. Moreno's example, a split class with 2 groups of 26, which would have required, which under these requirements, and I can only base on what I normally do. I would send an RTO to each half. This adds 2 staff members, 1 to 26, because it's over 25. So now I need a second RTO at EVOC and a second RTO at the range, in addition to the 5-to-1 range safety officers, in addition to the range master, in addition to the director or coordinator who has management oversight. Feel like for split classes, a hard and fast ratio is cost prohibitive, and I do not see how people who don't have RTOs, full-time RTOs assigned to them are going to accommodate it. For the college, for sure, the costs will be passed along to the students and the agencies because we have no other way to pay for the training.
Any additional comments, Mr. Stalker?
My only additional comment, and again, I very much appreciate your knowledge and your experience because I know you're coming with that. Again, I just my issue is a lot of this responsibility too needs to go on instructors. I mean, it's just not the RTOs that are there. I mean, and again, I talk from my agency where my instructors were watching a lot of what you were saying as well, but. It just, again, I appreciate it. It just, I am a little concerned about just doing a blanket across the state, depending on what each agency has. So my only recommendation is to possibly table this. But again, that's just a recommendation on that to kind of take a look at some of the concerns that especially my advisory committee, Tammy Morrell, is bringing up. So thank you.
Sorry, can I say one more thing? So I wanted to address Sheriff Honey's comment about agencies not being modular format programs. I was an instructor when we converted from a regular basic course to a modular format. And I didn't like it at the time, but now I'm a huge proponent of modular based academies. And the biggest reason is A lot of recruits don't make it through an academy, sponsored, independent, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of people who just don't get it the first time through, but they're good candidates overall. Using a regular basic course format, scenario training is at the end by design of an academy. They can have a week left of the program and double tap or fail a remediation on a scenario test, have to start at the beginning. A modular-based program starts at the beginning of module 1. So they have successfully completed 2 modules. Now they go back to the module where they were unsuccessful. And so for that reason, I'm a proponent of modular programs. And the second reason I'm a proponent of them is because there are a lot of agencies I know, because I recently sat in an acting chief's role, that are looking hard at reserves part-time employees. And the modular program is literally designed for level 3, 2, and 1 reserves.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Director Alvarez, or I'm sorry, Carrie.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, Carrie Holler. There are currently, I believe, Sheriff, you asked about the agencies who are modular format. I'm trying to get the exact number, but so far we know there's 5 agencies, and then there's colleges also, but the agencies, there's 5. Excuse me. I wanted to provide that.
Thank you. Additional questions or comments? Okay, thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Ms. Morel, anything else from CADA?
No.
Mr. Catrici.
That's good enough.
I'm gonna follow that one. John Kaczorowski, California Coalition of Law Enforcement. Last month we had a meeting right before the memorial, and President Craig Lally announced that he's going to be stepping down at our next meeting. So after 45 years of service, he's already stepped down from the league as president, and now he's going to be stepping down as the president for the CCLEA. And I also want to recognize him after 45 years of service. He was recognized during National Police Week for his commitment to public safety and his commitment to his officers that he's been looking out for. So I really want to wish him well, and wish a great retirement for him. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sheriff Honey.
Thanks, sir. Since our last meeting, the California State Sheriff's Association held their annual conference in Los Angeles County that was hosted by Sheriff Robert Luna. During that conference, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco was installed as our current president, and he will serve for 1 year. Obviously, the association continues to watch and monitor closely legislation that impacts our profession, and do our best to keep bad bills from being passed and hopefully promote good bills. Other than that, I have no further report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gamboa.
Dominic Gamboa, private presenter. I have nothing for the private presenter side. I just got a comment to support everybody's discussion on modular training. And thank you, Tammy, for bringing up reserves. As a lead executive for California Reserve Peace Officers Association, we field a lot of calls on modular training. What we found in different areas of the state, that there are people that want to become reserves, but the modular training aren't as available as maybe as an abundance it used to be. And there's a lot of moving parts of that. CRPOA is looking to put a work group together and at some point have a discussion with other stakeholders on how to maintain quality of the modular training. Sounds like that's part of this discussion, and then the availability of it. So thank you for your time, and that's it.
Erman.
Danny Erman from PORAC. I'll just kind of touch on real quickly what was brought up previously about the Assembly Bill 2411. Lots of concerns about that. Like all things, we are always concerned about the unknown, what's going to finally shake out. Obviously, PORAC, we understand Post is called upon to do what the legislature calls them to do, and if this passes or not, we don't have an issue with that. We have an issue in a lot of ways of the thought of the robust effort to get this through to bring people from out of the state when that no similar effort's been made to fill the vacancies within California to lessen the problem of needing out of state law enforcement. In fact, those of us at the state level are required to take deferments in our pay. We don't get the raises we negotiated for, and no real efforts were made to try to shore that up for the second year in a row. yet we're seeing legislation solely for the purpose of staffing the Olympics when we should be able to do that in-house. I believe when this was pitched originally, there was no mention that they would need to call upon out-of-state law enforcement because they're not adequately able to staff what we have here in this own state. So that's a problem. We have issues and concerns about what'll happen of working along counterparts from out of states, the restrictions involved with what they have and what we have. There's just a lot of concern about SB2. We have SB2 restrictions. How does that apply to them? Nobody wants to get involved in an incident with somebody. We're not sure how it's all going to shake out. And like was mentioned, for all of us in rank and file out in the field, there's always a concern about working with someone who's non-represented or no representation alongside you who's got legal representation. There's concerns with that. Seems like this is really ramping up in the last 6 months. So it really seems to come to a head, but it's still a long ways out, but we're just very concerned about how this is all going to turn out. Again, we prefer they consider their efforts on filling our positions in California and paying us what we negotiated for.
Thank you. Mr. Cordova.
Yes, thank you. Tony Cordova, on behalf of the California Community College Chancellor's Office and the 116 community colleges throughout the state of California. I got a couple things that I'd like to be able to talk about in regards to some of the legislation tracking component of it. It's that time of year where we're starting to reopen up our policy and advocacy for the future years. On behalf of the system, if there's anything that our office would be able to help support, please feel free to reach out to me. We're in that process right now as we start to close out the current fiscal cycle and get into the next policy process itself. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is some work that's being done. And if you follow the HR1, the workforce Pell eligibility, there's a lot of short-term programs and the requirements that just came out from the feds itself that identified and secured the requirements. But at a high level, one of the things that we're looking at is any of the courses or instructions that meet the minimum expectations, which include 150 hours to 599 hours, being completed within 8 to 15 weeks of the completion timeframe, and also include the stackability. So when I look at a lot of the programs, my ask is to encourage, if there's any courses out there that meet some of the regulatory requirements, let us connect and let us discuss about opportunities to be able to provide students Workforce Pell. Workforce Pell is just the Pell funding component of it to be able to help support some of their needs. We continue to evaluate that, and there's some legislations that's going to be able to help move the work in regards to that requirement. Other than that, thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Biederman.
Thank you, Rebecca Biederman, Public Safety Dispatcher. I don't have anything specifically from the Public Safety Dispatch side. We continue to work on staffing. Staffing is a huge issue with all of our agencies. I think most agencies are struggling with staffing, and I really appreciate the information about the modular format of the Public Safety Dispatcher course, especially with the increase to 160 hours, taking a dispatcher off the floor, dispatcher training off the floor for a full month causes some challenges. So I'm really appreciative of that information. It allows the flexibility and can also be tailored to where the trainee is in their training. The other thing was I also really value the information about AI. Again, with staffing, a lot of our vendors are pushing AI to assist with staffing. So I'm looking forward to these guidelines and direction for AI and the liability that comes along with it. It sounds great to be able to help with our staffing and our staffing challenges, but I want to be able to have those guidelines to look at it from a different lens of the liability and the standardization of the use of AI and also in the training of it. So thank you.
All right, thank you for that report. And I'll wrap up advisory committee reports from the California Police Chiefs Association. As you've heard from many other groups, is obviously in the middle of legislative advocacy efforts. So a lot of work being done there. And then Cal Chiefs launched, call it CAPS. It's a statewide accreditation, California accreditation for public safety. We launched the first cohort. There are 14 agencies that are enrolled and going through the accreditation process right now. 13 of those are police departments. 1 of those is a sheriff's agency. So we're excited to see that. And they're currently recruiting for the second cohort. And my understanding is they have just about the same number of agencies applying there. So off to a good start for statewide accreditation in California. We're excited to see that. So that'll conclude the advisory committee member reports. The next item on the agenda is commissioner comments. I do see that we have Chair Long present. I don't know if Chair Long, if you have anything for the committee you would like to address, or. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to old business. We do have a couple of items. I'll start off with, we previously had a discussion, advisory committee, and then I know the commission has discussed it, LD 35 with regards to shotgun testing in the academies. I just wanted to note that a letter was sent to me by the Monterey County Chief Law Enforcement Officers Association. This has been sent to post staff as well and to the commissioners. Just regards to their support for the removal of the shotgun requirement in the basic academy. And so this letter has been provided to post staff. Just want to bring that up. And I don't know if there was a quick update maybe we could get on that item.
Chair Salazar. Carrie Holler again. Yes, so we are holding a workshop in 2 weeks, June 16th and 17th, to address the shotgun. Advisory committee member Tammy Morrell will be present during that workshop. And then hopefully we'll have an update for you either in the September, well, maybe December meeting.
Great, thank you. And this letter has been provided to post staff, so appreciate that.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is part of that workshop a discussion about whether or not the shotgun should be replaced with the rifle in terms of training?
No.
No.
Any other questions, comments on LD 35 shotgun?
I just say one thing about the rifle, because college academies cannot teach rifle because of the way the law is written. So we are prohibited because we have any independent student, because they don't have peace officer status, can't even possess.
And then I guess the follow-up is there any discussion about training shotgun as a less lethal option?
Annie, did you want to answer that? Did you want to address the less lethal?
I would, but I was addressing the rifle, so I missed the question. I'll let you go from here, Carrie, and then I want to mention rifle.
There are discussions. We have our legal also looking into it on the less lethal and what qualifies it as a shotgun, less lethal, and what's required. So that will be addressed in the workshop. Yeah.
Okay, now I got it.
I know you
Yes.
felt strongly about
Thank
it.
you. I apologize. If I may, Mr. Chair. So our understanding of the law related to shotguns is many of the shotguns that are being used as less lethal shotguns have been modified and are still able to fire a regular shotgun round. And our review, our analysis of the law is they are still considered a shotgun. So that's why we're reluctant to remove shotgun training from the academy altogether. Now, the question obviously is whether the testing portion should be removed. The law says in order to carry short-barreled shotgun or shotgun, you have to go through the post course. So obviously we can't modify that, but it does not say anything about testing. So that is something that could in theory be removed, but we do believe that I suspect the majority of those shotguns out there have been converted or painted orange and are still considered shotguns. And it's much easier to do the shotgun training in the academy than to then send them back to do in-service training. It's just much more expensive for the department and for everyone. In terms of rifle training, so rifle training can be done in the college as long as they are affiliated students. If they're non-affiliates, that's where the issue is. So it can be done. You just, can't train the non-affiliates would be the challenge.
Correct. And it becomes problematic because we always have a mix, at least in my program. And so basically we would be putting in the position of independent students getting different training than sponsored students, and we can't do that either by regulation.
Okay, thank you. Anything else under old business?
Yes. Just thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to highlight, we recently last month hosted the Power of Mentorship Symposium down in El Segundo, Southern California. We had approximately 180 people attend this. It was a one-day event at a hotel down there with a focus not on supervisory or supervisors, but on field training officers, RTOs, corporals, dispatch CTOs or training officers, and professional staff. So we had significant positive feedback on it, focusing again on the mentorship aspect, not so much supervision, but mentorship. One of your peers on the advisory committee, Rebecca Biederman, gave a wonderful presentation during that, and with a lot of positive feedback once again on the focus for this particular symposium. So we wanted to mention that we are looking at hosting a Northern California one. We're targeting October, November timeframe, somewhere up in this area in general. And just want to encourage, if you have staff that might have that interest, that would fit that need, we would encourage them to attend. There's not a lot of training that we get to have that's focused on that aspect, mentoring, but not the supervisory specific roles. And the feedback again was wonderful on it. So thank you for taking part in that. We really appreciate it. And thank you to Post staff that put it on. There was a lot of work that went in just to put on 8 hours worth of training. So
Thank you. Move on to new business. Any items under new business?
yes, Mr. Chair. As we talked about before, we're in the process of our build out of our facilities. As you know, it's kind of a construction zone as you walk into the building, all the way up till you get to this meeting space. So our anticipation is the next time this committee meets, that you'll hopefully be meeting in our new meeting space, the commission meeting space. And so that's currently being constructed. We want to make the offer to advisory members that are present. If you would like to tour it after we're done with the meeting, our executive director has made the ability to have that done on a safety basis. So it is construction zone, but we think it'd be worthwhile to take a look at it if you're interested. So that is everything I have. Anything further from you, sir?
Yeah. I just want to thank you, Mr. Chair. Bring up the RTO to student ratio again. I just want to thank you. When we do all of our advisory and commission briefings, especially for advisory, we always say we want to hear from you, even when it's not popular or you may disagree with us. It is super, super valuable. So I just want to thank you for that, for bringing up those issues and the spirited discussion. Obviously, the chair of the commission is here. I know from my other conversations with some of the other commissioners, they are watching on live stream. Some of them are listening while they're driving for the meeting tomorrow. So the feedback is invaluable. I'm sure that they will hear it, and they're going to hear it tomorrow from the chair. So I just wanted to thank you for at times disagreeing or having issues with what we're proposing. So we'll see where the commission takes it. But that's exactly what we say at all the advisory committee orientations. We need to hear from you. So thank you. And that was it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Our future meetings, upcoming advisory committee meeting will be held December 1st, 2026 here at Post headquarters and here in West Sacramento. And with that, our meeting is adjourned and we have lunch prepared in the next room. So thank you all very much. Meeting's adjourned.